Hello, guys, and welcome back to the NW Sportscast. Today, we got a Michigan-Washington preview. It's going to be a close game, Levi. They are in the national championship. At the start of the year, you think, this is a good team. They're going to, win a lot of games in the Pac-12, a weaker conference, and then they slowly just keep winning games. They beat Oregon twice, and then this one, underdogs once again. They beat Texas. And they're going to be underdogs one more time against Michigan in Houston. 4.5-point dogs. What do you think going into this game? As a Husky fan, you don't get many opportunities like this. Actually, you never get an opportunity like this. This could be the last time. Got to take advantage of this.
Yeah. Well, the Huskies, they are, like you said, they're not in a new position here. They were underdogs against Utah. They were underdogs against Oregon State. Then they were underdogs against Oregon.
By
and
10
then
points.
They were underdogs against Texas. So 4 out of their last 5 games, they have been underdogs. And you know what they did in all 4 of those games? They won. So do I think that being an underdog matters against Michigan? No, I do not. Because we have proven literally 4 times in the span of the past 2 months that being an underdog doesn't matter because we're the better team out there. Washington finds ways to win. The ESPN Power Index doesn't believe in us the same way that our players do, but that's all you really need. If the players believe they can win, and the players obviously have the talent to win, we've seen them do it time and time again. So I think Washington is going to win this game.
Yeah, Levi, you mentioned that we win close, and that's very true, but not so true for Michigan. 13.5-point margin of victory on average for the Dogs. 26 points for Michigan, and you could argue Michigan is a better team, but in games like this, it's going to be close, and those close games against, Oregon State, Washington State, Oregon both times, and then against Texas, those really start to form you as a team, and when it gets close down the stretch, you know how to respond. You've been there before. Michigan hasn't had many close games outside of Ohio State, and of course against Alabama. And in the Alabama game, when it got close down the stretch, they played really poorly in that second half. The last 4 minutes, they obviously do get that drive going, and they win in overtime to Michigan's credit. But when the tough gets going, Washington knows how to respond, and that's been absolutely huge. You got guys like Odunze, McMillan, Jalen Polk. It's going to be really hard to guard all 3 of those guys. And then, of course, Michael Penix himself seems to always make the right read.
Yeah. Michael Penix has been playing out of his mind all season long. He's a really good quarterback.
Especially last night.
Yeah, totally. I mean, against the Texas Longhorns, he just put on a show. 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he could have thrown for more touchdowns. Again, a couple rushing touchdowns in there as well. But that was an offensive masterclass, and that's something I'm really interested to see because I don't doubt Washington's ability to score. But Michigan has the number 1 ranked defense in the country.
For a good reason.
They
got guys all over
they've been
the field.
dominating.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested to see because they've played a lot of Big Ten teams though, where it's like Iowa, not a team with a good offense.
Yeah.
Minnesota, not a team with a good offense. Northwestern, never those teams don't traditionally have good offenses. So Michigan
They haven't played an offense like this.
Michigan holding
They really
these
haven't.
low. Even Ohio State.
They haven't played an offense like this.
Ohio State's offense was not good this year. So we are going to be the best offense they've played all season. We are the biggest test that they've had on defense.
And on the flip side, this is going to be the biggest test that we will have from the offensive side.
That's true.
And it's going to be, I think, one there. It's going to be the Michigan defense versus the Washington offense. I think that's where really, when push comes to shove, what's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
If you can get guys going, if you can get your trio of wide receivers going, and then, of course, you got Dylan Johnson, who is playing, which is absolutely huge. That would have been one of the worst breaks of all time.
I know,
if we end up losing that game after that injury. He is playing. To what effectiveness will he be able to play? We will see for sure. Yeah. But these last few games, he's been a really key part to this Washington attack. And when you're able to mix in the running game with the passing attack, this team is borderline unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball. When you look at the defensive side of the ball for Washington, there's some concerns.
Yeah, and there's been concerns all season, Drew, but so that's the thing. So I'm expecting Michigan is probably going to score 30 points on this defense, right? They're averaging about 35, 36 points per game. They've kind of been slowed down a little bit recently. They didn't score as much against Alabama, but I do expect them to put up points against our defense because every team puts up points against our defense. that's why I think the game is won with our offense. I think if we
it goes back to the offense.
And it goes back through Michael Penix. And, we have the better quarterback. Like, on paper, Michael Penix Jr. is better. The only thing J.J. McCarthy leads him in is that he has thrown fewer picks. But other than that, Penix is leader in all the stats.
And Penix throws the ball in the field, so he should have picks. I mean, McCarthy, he loves the short stuff, and I think Jim Harbaugh kind of has to work with what he's got in J.J. McCarthy. You got guys like Roman Wilson, 735 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's been a good weapon, but
their offense flows through their
but how is a guy like Jabbar Muhammad going to match up against Roman Wilson? We'll see. We're outside of the top 100 in pass defense.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Michigan offense attacks this Husky unit. I'm guessing it'll be through the air, but again, that's not J.J. McCarthy's real strong suit. They love to go through Blake Corum, their star running back. He's got over 1,000 yards this year, Levi, and with 25 touchdowns. I think it starts with stopping Blake Corum, and then you trust your cornerbacks to let J.J. McCarthy make a play downfield. And, you let your star defensive end, Braylon Trice, he has 7 sacks on the year, get to the quarterback, disrupt J.J. McCarthy. I think it all starts with stopping Blake Corum.
Yeah, Blake Corum, he's the guy that kind of is the engine of that Michigan offense. And I agree. If you can stop him, you can maybe slow down that offense, and then hopefully you can get your 1,000-yard running back, Dylan Johnson, get him to have a much better game than Blake Corum. It's going to be a close one, Drew. I think, the money line right now, -4.5 points for Washington.
And I think that's where it should be. They
do think Michigan is about 5 points better than us, but I really don't think that should bother the Husky fans at all. I think we've seen this team win so many times in so many different ways. So I think it's a very close game.
Yeah.
But I think Huskies pull it out, maybe a game-winning field goal, something like that.
Yeah, this should be a good one. And I think it's going to be nothing less of, this I think is going to go down as the best 3 games in the 4-team college football playoff era.
Yeah.
Because I don't see this going any other way but it being close. And you see that with that game against Texas. That's kind of a prove it. Like, okay, the Huskies really haven't played anyone outside of the Pac-12 that's a good team. How are they going to respond against Texas? And you saw it. They played better than them in half 1. They played better than them in half 2. And that game really should have not come down to what it was outside of a bad break. And when that bad break came, how did UW respond? Like they do every single time. They just take it and they somehow find a way to get a win.
Yeah.
And that's
situationally, I'll say this. Our defense is not good, but situationally, we've got the key stop when we needed it 3 different times.
And Kalen DeBoer, he might be the best coach in all of college football.
He might be.
For a reason. And Jim Harbaugh's up there too, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're both stellar coaches, and coaching does matter in college football especially. It'll be very interesting to see what these 2 coaches bring. We had a month to prepare for Texas. Only got 8 days to prepare for Michigan. I'm sure there was some preparation in the last month for Michigan. Obviously most of the attention focusing on Texas. But it's going to be interesting to see what our game plan is going into the Michigan game and what Kalen DeBoer really starts to bring out. My prediction for this one, Levi, I have Huskies lose close.
Wow.
It's a close game. Okay. I think we lose 38-35. I think that 4.5 point spread we do cover, but I just think that Michigan's a little bit more talented, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's the big difference there. I think when push comes to shove, the Michigan defense will be able to get a stop against this Washington Huskies offense when our defense won't be able to get a stop against the Michigan's offense. Again, this could go either way. I would love to see a Husky win. I'm just going purely off of what I think is going to happen. I would probably bet the UW spread. I don't think I would bet UW money line. That's just my prediction. I think it's going to be close. I do. It could even go into overtime, and the Huskies could certainly win. This is not a game I would bet on at all. Anything could happen. It'll be close, though. It'll be close. I think Michigan edges out Washington.
Yeah, you make some fair points. You touch on the coaching a little bit, and it is worth it to mention this. DeBoer has yet to lose a game against a ranked opponent. Only 2 losses in his career as Huskies coach, and both of those were to
largest winning streak in college football.
And Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, the only times he's ever lost to ranked teams was in the college football playoffs against Georgia and TCU, and I think he may have lost in his first season to Ohio State. So neither of these coaches do much losing, but DeBoer doesn't have a single loss to a ranked team. So I think DeBoer's coaching combined with Washington's offense gets them the win. Situational defense ends up coming up strong in
Yeah,
the fourth
good
quarter.
point.
I'm going 27-24. Huskies win it.
Nice. I thought you'd go a little bit more higher scoring, to be honest with you, Levi.
You know, Michigan, Alabama's defense held Michigan to a little bit, and I don't know, man. I have a
Alabama's
little bit more
defense
faith.
is better than our defense.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, it just is. Our
agree.
passing defense is not,
But their passing is not their
it's
strength.
not an elite team. It's not even a good team.
But their passing offense is not their strength. Their strength is the run game.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And
So
we
their
will see.
offensive weakness is our defensive weakness. I think that could play a little bit into this.
Again, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Will J.J. McCarthy be able to take advantage of that? Who knows? And I think we'll have to see what happens here, but it's going to come down to whatever defense can play better against these kind of high-powering offenses. We'll see what happens. I will say, you got Michael Penix or J.J. McCarthy, most important position in college, in football in general, both in the NFL side and the college side. Who do you take?
Michael
I mean,
Penix.
it's clear. You take Michael Penix.
Take Michael Penix.
And that's something you really do have to look at outside of maybe wide receiver. Michigan probably has us beat on almost every position group, but the quarterback and the wide receiver and the coaching, I think you give the edge.
Have us beat that's a little bit up to opinion because we've never seen. I mean, we haven't played at any of the same teams, so you're basically judging off of what they were graded on
off what
in
I
high
see,
school,
and I'm basing
what
off
they were graded
of
when.
I'm basing off what I see, and this is a defense I just don't think is that good.
Yeah,
So I think almost every defensive position outside of Trice, you take Michigan.
Maybe it's just
right?
that we've played tougher offenses than them.
Yeah, we
I don't
game-winning field goal against Wazoo, beat Oregon State by less than a touchdown. Hey, I don't know.
Well, the Wazoo was not the defense's fault. That was on the offense.
Yeah.
I was at that game. The offense was miserable half the game.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it though. The number 1 seeded Wolverines versus the number 2 seeded Huskies. They play 14-0. Who will get to 15-0 and take home the college football trophy? We will certainly see. The last game, the Pac-12. The last team in the Pac-12 alive. Will they get it done? This is maybe a rivalry waiting to happen in the Big 10, Big 25, whatever you want to call it. We'll certainly see. That's going to do it for us. This is the NW Sportscast. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video if you made it all the way to the end. And as always, Levi.
Go Huskies.